guys, I'm Julia.
And I'm Vanessa, and we have some very exciting news for you guys. Tell them, Julia.
Do I tell them now?
Yeah, tell them now.
Okay, there are only 25 days until Christmas! Oh my god,
I love Christmas. Oh my god, depending on what day you watch this, of course, but nonetheless, it's almost here.
And since Santa
sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake.
what better time to talk about the Panoptic Society in Hamlet?
Oh. People these days don't account for the significance of the Panoptic Society in Hamlet. I mean, obviously it's a book about madness, love, weird love, and order, but I mean, we can't overlook this idea of a Panopticon society. Now, some of you are probably thinking, hey, what's a Panopticon society? Well, let's break it up a little bit. So the word pan, think of taking a picture, like a panorama shot of something. You're capturing all of what you see. So pan, in essence, kind of means all-inclusive. And then we look at the separate word, optic, relates to the eye. So in essence, a Panopticon society is an all-seeing society. Now to start, Hamlet himself refers to Denmark as a prison, stating Denmark is one of the worst. Now, why would a prison have anything to do with a Panopticon society? Well, think of it. In a prison, you've got guards everywhere, watching your every move, making sure that you're not escaping or trying to kill anyone, because apparently that's not good. And in Hamlet's case, he refers to a prison because everyone's watching him and each other. So this comparison actually emphasizes his surveillance. Why don't we keep a tally for who's watching who? So, for example, if Polonius says, I'm watching Hamlet, then Polonius would get a point. And in the end, we'll see who has the most points and they'll win. Yay! So for this round... Except in this case, they just get points, not cars. But that would be nice.
So honor is a very important thing in Hamlet because everybody is watching you. You have to make sure that you have a good reputation. For example, when Laertes is talking to Ophelia, he wants to make sure that she does not end up having a bad reputation with Hamlet. Because of course Hamlet is of noble class, he has to fulfill the noble duties, and that may not be with dating Ophelia. Polonius suggests that Hamlet does not love Ophelia and says to her, weigh what loss her honor may sustain. So in other words, this means that he doesn't want Ophelia to have a bad reputation. So why is reputation so important? Because everyone is watching. Weird, right? So that's 1 point for society. So you want to know what else is weird? Because let me tell you, there's a lot of weird things that happen in Hamlet. Polonius doesn't even trust his own son while he goes off to university in France. So therefore, he decided that it would be a good idea to send Rinaldo, which is one of his servants, to France to spy on Laertes. And Polonius says, I put on Laertes what forges he pleases, but none so rank as may dishonor him. Again, since honor is such a big thing, he wants Rinaldo to speak badly of him and say lies, but not so badly that he gives Laertes a bad reputation. So therefore, Polonius gets a point. Lastly, to show that honor is such an important role in Hamlet, when Claudius is worried after, spoiler alert, Polonius dies, he says, we'll call up our wisest friends and let them know both what we mean to do and what's ultimately done. What Claudius is saying is that they don't want any rumors to start thinking that Claudius killed Polonius, so therefore that has to do with him getting a bad reputation and people think like that. So therefore, society gets a point.
I'm sure you're all aware of the innocent yet annoying Polonius, am I right? Well, he might not be as innocent as you think. He watches people. Like a lot of people. Ugh. So weird. But think about it. When talking to Ophelia, Polonius says, "'Tis told me he hath very oft of late given private time to you. If it be so, as so 'tis put on me." He's pretty much just saying that people have been telling him about Ophelia. So in essence, people are watching Ophelia and reporting back to Polonius, which kind of brings it all back to the Panopticon Society, because everybody is watching everyone. Society gets a point. As Julia mentioned before, Polonius sends his servant Reynaldo to spy on his son Laertes in France. In doing so, he tells Reynaldo to do marvelous wisely before he visits him to make inquiry of his behavior. So basically, watch my son. How creepy is that? As if that wasn't enough information, Polonius actually tells Reynaldo how to spy on Laertes. He tells Reynaldo to lie about his son to see if people will agree or disagree with him, because Polonius states that by indirections find directions out. On the bright side, you get a point for being creepy, Polonius. Another significant part of the play that really emphasizes the idea of Panopticon Society and Hamlet is when Polonius reads out loud in front of the king and queen the private love letter that Hamlet sent Ophelia. Now, since they're in a Panopticon Society, this letter was not staying in that envelope, and everybody has to find out, because everybody has to know everything about everyone, as confusing as that may sound. But, hey Polonius, you get another point for being an awful dad.
Why don't we do a quick recap to make sure we haven't lost anyone? Firstly, Hamlet refers to Denmark as a prison. Since you're constantly watched in a prison, the comparison proves that people watch each other in Denmark. Secondly, the significance of honor. If people are constantly watching you, you want to make sure they think well of you, which is why honor is so valued by the people of Denmark. Thirdly, Polonius does a lot of watching. People of society watch Ophelia when she's with Hamlet and report to Polonius about it. Polonius sends Reynaldo to spy on Laertes, and Polonius reads and shares a private love letter from Hamlet to Ophelia.
Just when you thought we were done talking about Polonius, you were very wrong. We're telling you, the guy does a lot of watching in this play. So much watching that he knows that Hamlet sometimes walks 4 hours in the lobby. How else would he know this if he didn't watch Hamlet every day? There you go, Polonius, another point for you. Now, not only does Polonius like to watch everybody, he also likes to hide behind curtains. Firstly, after coming up with a plan to make Ophelia talk to Hamlet to prove Polonius' point that Hamlet is gone mad because of his love for Ophelia, he suggests to Claudius that they hide behind an arrays, then make the encounter. Since they have to watch everybody and everything that they do, it reflects the idea of a surveillance society. So therefore, Polonius as well as Claudius get a point for this one. So since his first spying mission went so well, he decided that he would do the exact same thing, but this time with Gertrude and Hamlet. He states he will be placed in the ear of all their conferences. Once again, he's hiding behind the curtains and listening to a conversation that he's not supposed to be a part of. So that's another point for you, Polonius.
Less about Polonius now, more about the queen and king, because trust me, they do their fair share of watching too. For example, when Hamlet asks Claudius to go back to Wittenberg, Claudius exclaims how much he wants Hamlet to stay, claiming, "We beseech you, bend you to remain here in the cheer and comfort of our eye." By saying this, Claudius implies that he wants to be able to watch Hamlet at all times, to make sure that he knows what he's up to 24/7. As creepy as that sounds, that's what a Panopticon Society is all about. So Claudius, you get 1 point. Next we can look at when Claudius and Gertrude use Hamlet's own friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to spy on Hamlet. The queen tells them, "Visit my too much changed son." When she says this, she says visit, we all know she really means watch. So for that, you get 1 point, queen. Now Claudius also agrees with Gertrude in telling Rosencrantz and Guildenstern that he entreats them both that they vouchsafe their rest here in Claudius's courts a little time, draw Hamlet onto pleasures, and to gather whether aught to them unknown afflicts Hamlet less. That's a mouthful, but all it's really saying is Claudius wants Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to spy on Hamlet and gather information as to why he went mad. Again though, this idea of them having to spy on him and having Claudius to watch Hamlet know what he's up to really reiterates that fact about the Panopticon Society. That's 1 point for Claudia. Lastly, when Queen Gertrude reports about the spoiler alert death of Ophelia, she explains it with such a vivid image, as if she were actually there herself. Now, whether the Queen was there or whether she was told about the incident by someone else, the point is that someone was there watching Ophelia as this all went down. This advances the idea of a Panopticon society. So I guess we'll just have to give a point to both Gertrude and society.
So this is a play about Hamlet, right? So let's talk about his tendency to watch people. Hamlet, as we all know, is very intelligent, so one point in the play he does use the Panopticon Society to his advantage. Since he knows people are watching him, he states, "Stranger odd, so ere he bear himself, as he perchance hereafter shall think meet to put on an antedisposition." Hamlet, in this quote, says that he's going to use the madman card in order to divert suspicion, but also because he knows people are always watching him. So therefore, people are going to believe him. So even though this is a bit of a tricky point, we're going to give society a point because they are watching Hamlet. So next, Hamlet is caught watching Claudius pray in the chapel, and he says, "Now he might kill him had, now as he is praying." This connects to the Panopticon Society. Because Hamlet is watching Claudius pray, he knows what he is up to. So therefore, Hamlet, you get 1 point. When speaking to Claudius, Hamlet says, "I see a cherub that sees them." Here, Hamlet implies that he knows Claudius's plan for him. So we can take this two ways. One, that Hamlet is intelligent, or that someone told Hamlet about the plan that Claudius has for him. Lastly, spoiler alert, when Hamlet kills Polonius, of course by accident, he tells his mother, Gertrude, "The counselor is now most still, most secret." However, even though Hamlet tells Gertrude not to say anything, in the next scene, she tells her beloved Claudius what has happened. So technically, that's a point for Gertrude.
The characters in Hamlet that speak a little less, like the ghost, the gravediggers, and Ophelia, actually contribute a lot to this idea of Panoptic Society. For instance, remember that scene where Gertrude and Hamlet are having a lovely conversation and Polonius is doing what he does best and hides behind curtains? Yeah, that scene. Well, the ghost actually has to appear to Hamlet to tell him to calm down and not actually hurt his mother. Now, the fact that the ghost has to appear suggests that he had been watching Hamlet. Now, yes, this is a supernatural element that could have supernatural powers, which, while convenient, is extremely creepy. Nonetheless, though, it still advances the idea of a Panoptic Society because the ghost is watching Hamlet. So 1 point for you. Next, we can look at the oh-so-punny gravediggers. See what I did there? After Hamlet speaks to them and they have that really weird conversation about whose grave is being dug, they begin to talk about Hamlet, who is actually in the conversation, but for whatever reason the gravediggers don't know that, so Hamlet gets to have some fun. After Hamlet asks about himself, the gravedigger says, "He that is mad and sent to England." For someone to know this about Hamlet, it's ironic that he doesn't recognize him. But now this simple line is so powerful in that it tells us that everyone knows about each other in Denmark, regardless of your class ranking. But wait, there's more. Hamlet continues to ask why Hamlet went mad, and the gravediggers reply, "Very strangely, they say." They. That simple word just signifies that people are talking about Hamlet and his so-called insanity. I mean, people talking about people and knowing everything about them, that is Panoptic Society. That is the whole idea of a surveillance. If you're watching people, you know what they're up to. And if you're watching people and telling people about each other, all gets around. So 1 point for you, society. Last, but definitely not least, the sweet Ophelia. Despite the lack of freedom she's given in the play, Ophelia proves that she definitely knew everything about everyone. And just before her spoiler suicide, Ophelia hands out flowers that have significant meanings to everyone in the play. So for example, she gave Claudius Fennel, representing flattery, and Columbine, representing faithfulness and wedlock. Ironic? I think so, but that's the point. Ophelia, despite her weak self, still has the ability to spy on people. That in itself advances Panoptic Society.
Why don't we do another quick recap, because that was a lot of information to absorb. Firstly, Polonius really does do a lot of watching. He's watched Hamlet walk in the lobby for 4 hours, and he hides behind curtains so he can eavesdrop on conversations he isn't a part of. Secondly, the king and queen also do a lot of watching. Claudius wants Hamlet to stay in Denmark so he can watch him. The king and queen use Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to spy on Hamlet and report on his madness, and the queen paints a vivid image of Ophelia's death, as if she were there to see it. Thirdly, Hamlet is very intelligent. And weird, because he does a lot of watching too. He uses the Panoptic Society to his advantage to make people believe he went mad. He watches Claudius when he's praying, and he knows about Claudius's plans for him. Fourthly, the queen can't keep a secret. Even after Hamlet tells her not to tell anyone about Polonius' death, Gertrude tells Claudius in the very next scene. Fifthly, characters that may seem weak do a lot of watching too. The ghost watches Hamlet to make sure he's keeping his promise, the gravediggers know about Hamlet's insanity, and Ophelia proves she's been watching through handing out flowers. Before we say bye, why don't we take a little look-see at the points? We've got Hamlet and Ophelia tied with 2, Claudius and Gertrude with 4, and Polonius and Society tied at 7. Looks like they do a majority of the watching in Denmark.
That's all we have for our analysis on surveillance on Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Hope you're all a little bit more educated on the topic now, so thanks so much for watching.